Welcome back to the Stoop football fans. It's your boy Lolo. I'm here with Spawny Mark, of course, and unfortunately, we don't want to get our butts wet, so we're not sitting on the stoop today.
He doesn't want to get his butt wet.
No, I don't. I'm wearing my Arsenal pants, my training pants.
He got his butt wet on Tuesday.
You shut the fuck up about that, man. I'm still so annoyed.
I was with him. I know he got his butt wet.
I'm still so annoyed with that match. Anyway, this is our weekend recap, Mark. This is where we're going to recap not quite everything that happens, but more of a grand scheme rundown of what happened this Premier League weekend-ish.
The weekend-ish. The weekend midweek. This is screwing me up, man.
And
Boxing Day always screws me up. And that's the weirdest thing. We go from no matches for a month and then a condensed
1 billion matches.
3 matches in 10 days. Or however, 3 weeks in 10 days or whatever it is, and then nothing.
Now a weekend
and
of
now,
what are we
and
gonna
now
do?
like we have to watch the fuck up. And
The fuck up? No,
we gotta,
I'm not watching any of that.
And we
man.
got to
I'm
watch
not-
the Carabao fuck up.
No, I'm not watching any of that. So let's get to it. Let's recap the weekend. And Mark, I just want to. There's a few things that really stuck out to me, and then we can talk about whatever you want to talk about as well.
Sure.
But the things that stuck out most to me were the Arsenal-Newcastle draw, which, everybody's saying, fair result. Didn't lose, didn't win, tough match, blah, blah, blah. Newcastle are a bunch of bitches. That's what everybody's saying. Not just in my own head over and over again.
I got to say that there's a certain point where I would agree with you on that, because the time wasting is going to be legendary in this game, but I'm gonna poke. Hold on, I'm gonna poke the bear a little bit.
I don't want to dig into it yet.
I'm gonna poke the bear.
Okay.
You call them bitches.
I know they are. I want to hit the topics that I would like to discuss, so you keep them in mind when we're seeing the counter just going there, and we're at 40 minutes and we're still talking about Arsenal. I also want to talk about how bad that Manchester City-Chelsea match was. And yes, Chelsea looked like they are, but Man City did not look good.
No,
they did not look good. So we'll get into that a little bit. And then a team that it feels weird saying that they do look good, but everybody needs to be on the lookout for Manchester United, right? I mean, they're winning and clean sheets, and De Gea's doing better, and Rashford. So those are the things that really hit the most for me. There were other things that happened throughout the weekend, but anything that sticks out besides those to you that you want to touch on?
I've been giving my Wolves so much stick in the last couple of months and maybe the entire season, and I have always kind of it hurts when people have told me to my face that Wolves are some of the most boring football you've ever seen. I know it was against Villa, but there was some exciting football to be seen.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I think you texted it out of like, who the hell is this team in black and gold?
Yeah.
They were balling out. But this is what I've expected coming back from the break. And you guys singing, "We got Super Lopetegui." I'm like, hey, no.
Yeah, well, all chants are under, or they're all the same.
They're all the same.
And Brighton suddenly going from a defensive team to becoming a team that is going to put up numbers. That's, what is that, 7 goals? No. Well, one got chalked off, 6 goals in 2 games.
But they scored 3 or 4 the match before, 3 the match before. They're scoring like crazy.
And this is a team that casts everybody off.
Yeah.
And still provides new talent to keep them in that top 10. Evan Ferguson, man, that 18-year-old.
I'm pretty sure he scored against Arsenal.
I think so. I came off the bench.
Well, let's get to it, Mark. I tossed them out there. Which one of those do you want to touch on first?
I think we just get the monkey off your back.
Oof.
It's a big one. It's a
Can't believe I'm
gibbon.
wearing black and white too. God
it's
damn
a gibbon on his back, not just a monkey, but a gibbon.
All right, do it. Let's do it.
Feces tossing gibbon. You played Newcastle. This is a match that I said you beat Newcastle, and it's undeniable that you guys are going to win the league. That's my personal opinion. I don't want to jinx it for any of you Arsenal fans out there. Not quite the result you wanted, but there was a little testy out there. Look, he's frozen.
I'm listening. I'm just logging every counterpoint that I'm trying to make. Keep talking.
I thought it was a good game. It was not nearly as exciting. Obviously, a 0-0 match is not going to be all that exciting. Some of the there's a lot of people out there saying that the officiating was a bit suspect. But you and I both agreed that sometimes you got to let them play.
Here.
We got a garbage truck coming. It's an oil truck. Particularly on the handball. Listen. Here he comes.
All right. VAR decisions aside, let's just get those out. I'm as an Arsenal supporter, I'm going to say one of those at least should have been a penalty. But I'm not going to harp on that. When I say the officiating was poor, I'm not talking about the VAR decisions.
No.
Or non-VAR decisions.
No. I think it was.
What I'm saying is,
I think it was very inconsistent.
The referee lost the control of the match early on. He was being influenced by Newcastle players and Arsenal players coming at him. So right away he's like, okay, yellow card, and that's a yellow card. And I'm like, how is that a yellow card? And then he realizes he's doled out too many yellow cards. So then hardcore tackles come in.
He swallows his whistle. Yeah.
And he starts, that's just a foul. Then our guys are like, wait a minute, how is that not a yellow?
It was wildly inconsistent.
And then Almiron gets a yellow for not backing up off of the spot. When to be fair, every time they spray the line, as soon as the ref starts walking, everybody moves up and steps on the line. So he did that. He told him to get back. He did it again. That's when, you go up and you say, hey, I'm going to have to book you. And then he goes, all right, and doesn't do it.
Yeah.
But that, and then, crazy high-footed Joel Linton, dangerous, out of control.
But here's the thing. He's going for the ball. And, yes, his leg is up. Mm-hmm. But who was it against? It was against...
that was, somebody in the back, Partey.
I thought it might have been Saliba. Now Saliba brings the foot up and meets Joel Linton's leg.
Meets the ball.
No, he meets his leg.
He meets the ball.
He meets
and
his
then
leg.
Meets his
leg.
I
don't see that as I know I'm getting his ire. I'm getting his ire up.
He kicked the ball.
I don't.
He kicked the ball.
But it was Linton's leg is up and Saliba's leg comes underneath it and makes the contact.
Because he hit the ball, and then his leg continues because he kicked it.
You can't argue with an Arsenal fan.
Joel Linton, see, that's what I fucking hate. Because we can't even complain about any refereeing decision because then it's like, oh, you're just crying about it. Wait, no, let's be serious. Let's be absolutely serious.
I'm just getting your go, brother.
If somebody comes in like this.
And then I come in like that, how is that a foul on you?
This, because you didn't get the ball. Your foot is up here with your studs up. That's out of control.
Okay. All right.
That's out of control.
I'm learning, and this learning lesson about the ins and outs of football is brought to you by Wolverhampton.
But here's the problem: is the referee had already doled out so many cards and pulled back and didn't know what he was doing at that point. That he was like, something like that happens is usually he walks up and goes, I'm sorry, that's a yellow card. Unfortunately, I get you were going for the ball, but you completely missed it and you came down studs up on a player's leg. Yes, it was a clip. I get it. Or just to talking to or something.
Right.
But what ended up happening is Joel Linton sits on the floor for 5 minutes. And then at the end of the match, you've got 5 minutes of stoppage time where I'm like, bring back the World Cup refs at this point. Let's just be honest about it.
It was pretty inconsistent.
There was 43 minutes where the ball was in play in 90. And there was 7 minutes of total stoppage time. That to me is so I just feel like the referee overplayed his hand from the beginning and then had to step it back because he was like, this match is going to end up 8-on-8. And to me, that's shitty refereeing. Like what?
No. I will definitely agree.
And it was on both.
Both
teams.
And yeah, it was on both sides. So I mean, it was consistently inconsistent.
Yeah.
I guess is what we're all trying to say. What I am glad is that it wasn't. If it was completely inconsistent on both sides, I am really glad that there wasn't a red flashed, to kind of make this match of two of the top four,
and that's
who are desperate to beat one another to prove supremacy in the top four, to have a red card kind of ruin the match for a neutral.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're an Arsenal fan out there, you're fucking thinking that Newcastle deserves a red card and deserves to go down to 10, and you guys deserve that match. And if you're a Newcastle fan, Tony, you might feel that there should have been some calls that were missed on your side.
Yeah. And I think that's why they didn't even give the handball at the end, didn't even give it another look, because they're like, no, we're not going to end the game like this. When to me, I'm like, excuse me, a fucking handball is a fucking handball. Go ahead and say, no, we're not going to give the penalty, but go look at it.
I guess. For me, the handball, the guy's he was turned.
He turned his back.
He's turned, so he's doing what he can to avoid contact. And it's also, no one knows anything about handball. No one.
Yeah.
They change it every year, and they're going to change it next year, and they're changing it. I'll be dead, and they'll change it 20 more times.
Yeah.
It seems also some of what I've seen in the past is that close quarters, if you're too close to when the ball is kicked and you can't avoid it, then like in the Brighton match, I think there was a handball where the guy is like going over the top of somebody and he's falling down. And it literally hits his hand, but because he's trying to protect his fall, it wasn't called.
Yeah. And
not that this was anything like that.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if it's too close to react, how did he have enough time to spin his back? Like
that's not what I'm saying. I'm using that as an example of something that's not a handball.
For me, it's if the hand wasn't there, does the pass go into play? Like, is it in the mixer there? And to me, it would have been in the mixer if it didn't hit the hand. Therefore, it's a handball. Therefore, if you're like this and it hits your hand and then hits your chest, to me, if your hand wasn't there, same outcome. So no, it's not a handball. Or like this, same sort of thing. But this, like the ball was going into the mixer anyway. I also would have felt hard done if that was on the Arsenal side. However, in the end, it's happened time and time again where we've had to suck it up and go.
If the shirts were yellow, if the shirts were gold and black, it would have been a handball.
And if that had been Xhaka with his foot up like that, he would have been sent off.
I don't think so. I think 2 years ago, yes. I don't think so anymore because he has been extremely disciplined, and
maybe
the league,
not a straight red,
and
but a second yellow.
League and the refs need to. They have to know. They have to have taken notice on the fact that he has been
let's go
very
to
disciplined.
Implications. What does this match result mean? Are Arsenal's title hopes done and dusted now? Because we showed a weakness. We showed how a team can come in and stop us or slow us down? Or was it just a testament of, hitting a brick wall of defending, and yet Arsenal showed something by not allowing Newcastle to score? Does this show Newcastle are contenders for, they're not far away?
To me, it the one thing it shows is that the rematch is going to be a barn burner. And I hope that the refs continue to let both teams play. If you had given up 3, I might say, you know what? Newcastle's coming for you. City might catch you. United might catch you. But you only dropped 1 point. And I know in a season that you've only dropped 4, and we're at beyond. We're in the new year. You've only dropped 4 points. There's a sense of pride that is a bit wounded by not getting those points. But in this particular case, to only drop 2, you still got the point. You're still in the driver's seat. And it's the reason why I'm saying that a little more emphatically now than I have in the past weeks is I said watch out for City. No. City looked poor.
Yeah,
they looked poor against Chelsea.
Yeah, what I got out of this weekend is something. After days of being absolutely furious and annoyed and pissed off, I'm hoping this leads to another reaction like we had after the loss to Manchester United, after the draw to Southampton, where everyone was like, all right, here we go, Arsenal collapsing. And what needs to happen is we need to continue to face hardships and losses. I'm taking this as a loss. It's 2 points lost. It's a winning streak at home lost. And these young players, their egos go up very, very quickly, and they need to be knocked back down every now and then. And look, it didn't happen to a Southampton this time. It happened to Newcastle, a team that came in, and it wasn't all on us not performing. It was them putting in give them credit where the credit's due. They have the number 1 defense in the league, and they kept us out. They have a very good offense, and we're number 2-ish defense in the league, and we kept them out. So let's look at those good things, but also go, hey, we need to reinvest. We need to invest because if Arteta makes one change in a match like that means you don't believe those guys on the bench can do it for you.
I got to say on that note, you guys spend, and in this particular year, this particular summer, you spent well to the point where it's like I didn't think you needed anybody, and then Jesus gets hurt, and I'm like, you'll be fine. But in this particular match against Newcastle, it became very evident that y'all aren't that deep.
We're not deep at all.
You're not that deep.
Well, we were at the bar, and I was like,
he's got no one to
there's
bring
nobody
on.
better. There's nobody that can shift it. Now,
you got people that can hold the line.
Yeah, they'll hold
but no one's gonna take you over the top.
If Emile Smith-Rowe and Reece Nelson were back healthy, that's a different story. Then, Reece Nelson and Emile Smith-Rowe, they can be game changers. They can be that energy boost. However, I don't think you take Martinelli or Saka off at that point.
Right.
It would have to be taking out Eddie, moving in, moving one of them into the center, taking off Odegaard, who I didn't think had a fantastic
Odegaard
game.
was not.
Everybody's giving Xhaka shit, but I felt like Xhaka was doing his job.
I feel that there's been a change on the pitch with how well Odegaard has been playing. That it's like, maybe Arteta is bringing, he's almost saying don't get in Odegaard's way, don't press too far forward, because I've seen lately during this really great run by Odegaard is that Xhaka hasn't been as effective, and maybe I'm just seeing something that I'm making shit up. I don't know, but that's what I'm seeing. And I'm seeing that Odegaard didn't have a good game, and Xhaka wasn't there to kind of facilitate what was going on, because the facilitation by Odegaard was very lacking, very missed.
Well, I would say that Xhaka's been effective going forward on matches where he's needed to be, where they've kind of cut off our wingers, where it's harder to break through, and we've needed that extra support in the middle, and he's not needed for this counterattack. I felt like against Newcastle, as much as we got forward, we always had to be mindful of getting back, and so I feel like he was defending a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe that was the case.
And a little, his thoughts were
so then is that the case with Brighton as well? Because you guys,
No, Brighton we just turned off. Brighton, we were like, first goal, second goal, we're done. And they just turned off and got lazy.
Right.
To me, if Odegaard, if his passes were as clinical as they had been, you would have been like, perfect. We would have scored one or two of those goals.
Right.
The balls were just off.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, that's 20 minutes on Arsenal, like I said. So
we got the gift of gab. What can we say?
But yeah, let's. So that leads me to what do you want to move on to now? The Chelsea or Man United?
I say we move on to City and Chelsea. You know, these are two teams.
Oh my
God.
God.
I mean, when we talked in the beginning of the year and gave our predictions, I was the one that said Chelsea is not going to be in the top 4. And so far, so good. Not that I think that that's good. Obviously, you know, I mean, for some, I have no skin in the game, but 10th at the new year.
Let's just say
Chelsea
their next
is
match is against
10th?
Their next match is against Fulham, and they're 3 places behind Fulham.
And if I'm Chelsea, I'm afraid of Fulham.
He should be. Now, to cut them a tiny bit of slack, they do have like 10 players who might be starters or at least be on the bench and come in. They had 10 starters who were out. They lost Raheem Sterling. They lost Christian Pulisic. All that being said, I thought they looked better when they brought the kids on.
And when they brought Gallagher on. I think, well, obviously Gallagher is going to be a spark plug, but at some point in the second half after the substitutions were said and done, probably about the 70th minute, I'm watching that match, and I'm like, I don't recognize either one of these teams.
Yeah.
You know, it was strange, it was odd, and I know that squads go through this. They go through the natural progression of, you know, we sell players off, we bring new players in, but yeah, man, I just did not, and even the style of play I didn't recognize.
What was very weird, it felt very much like, talking about City at this end, it felt very much like the Champions League final, or one of these big matches where Pep Guardiola overthinks things and overdoes things and overplays things. He had started the last few matches without João Cancelo and started Rico Lewis, who was doing incredible things.
He's not bad.
But he's not playing as a left back or a right back. He's all over the pitch. He's got free reign. And then they're relying on Rodri to be that cover because he can play center back as he did for Spain. Rodri's, every time I watch him play, I'm like, I hate him so much, but God, I wish he was on my team. He's so good.
You know, he is one of those players that you just have to respect the game, and
it's
that's
like almost lazy.
And that's why we like those types of players. I mean, people are like, how can you like that player? I'm like, because he's so silky.
So they bring João Cancelo back to start. And Kyle Walker. So anytime Cancelo and Kyle Walker play, Kyle Walker's on the right, João Cancelo's on the left. Sometimes if Kyle Walker doesn't start, João Cancelo can fill that role because that's where he originally played, but no, he's usually the left back over there. They put Nathan Ake at left back, who's the center back.
It was kind of weird.
John Stones, Kyle Walker as right back, and João Cancelo also as right back, as like a right wing back. And I know they were trying to open up space there and like double team Cucurella, and Cucurella had a poor game, and maybe that's why. But
he's just not doing well he hasn't done fuck all for Chelsea.
This to me was like, Pep, I know City Chelsea is usually a huge thing, but Chelsea are in shambles right now. Like, I felt like overdoing that and overthinking it caused confusion. Kevin De Bruyne was tracking back too much because he didn't know what was going on. And, you know, I think they had one shot before the 40th minute or something like that. Just crazy. Just set up and go at them.
I don't think there was a single shot on goal in the first half.
I think at the very end of the first
half. Maybe. I mean,
yeah.
and maybe that's just it. You know, we said it in the preview that this was a match that would normally be the marquee of the week, maybe the month. Yeah. And this was, I'm watching it and I'm losing interest.
I mean, if you think about it, like, who's won the league in the past, like, 10 years? It's City and Chelsea. Liverpool won once, and Leicester won once. Nope.
Shows you what
Liverpool won once, and then Leicester won once in the past 9 years or something.
Right.
It's been Chelsea or City. So this match should have been huge, and the implications were huge. Chelsea win, they're back up. Their season's not. They're right there with Liverpool. They lose, and they're floundering down here.
Yeah.
Now it's not even halfway done with the season.
A lot
We're
of
not
season
talking
left,
fucking
absolutely.
relegation fodder or anything like that. It's just if they don't turn things around, and to me, if City doesn't, Pep is right about what he's saying. If we're not absolutely perfect, we're not going to catch Arsenal. And that match yesterday was so lucky.
Mm-hmm.
It should have been a draw. That match deserved to be a draw.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Or, at some point, I mean, Chelsea was knocking on the door pretty hard in the last 10 minutes and into stoppage time. And I was waiting. I was waiting for the Chelsea goal to come. It never came. City gets the points, was a little close to Arsenal. But man, City, I just don't. On one hand, I'm convinced that this is the year that City is not going to recover from their notoriously slow starts, their little bump in the road. We've seen it in the past where there's been like this some questioning, and City not doing so well, and then the adjustments come, and Pep gets them firing again, and then they come forward. I'm not seeing that happening this year.
But here's the problem, Mark. They play bad, and they still beat Chelsea.
But what
bad.
Chelsea did they beat? They didn't beat Chelsea of 2 years ago.
Doesn't matter. They played terrible, and they still won. That's the problem. Last season, Arsenal outplayed them, and we lost. Mm-hmm. Or we lost.
I think you lost.
We lost at the last second. That's the thing that scares me about City. I'm not worried about them absolutely dominating for 10, 15 matches. I'm worried that before they get to the domination phase, they're going to pull this shit out in 5-6 matches where Arsenal, Newcastle...
doing just enough to keep pace.
Arsenal, Newcastle deserved a draw, and that's what they got. Chelsea City deserved a draw, but City got the win. Yeah. Those are the ones
I got you.
That
I follow you. I follow you now.
Because they're going to go on a run. They are going to figure it out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's what I'm saying.
And if they can get enough of these
but
little
what you're saying is that win the games you're not supposed to. Win the games you don't think you're going to win.
Win the games that deserve to be draws.
And so ultimately you're hanging around.
Yeah.
And they'll hang around and do just enough. And then, they'll pull the Cobra Kai on Newcastle and United and Arsenal and so on and so forth. And it'll be the same old thing over and over again. Look who spent well in the off season and took the trophy home.
So here's the thing. Next week, next Saturday, Manchester Derby. Talk about a team that's not playing so hot in Manchester versus a team that is seemingly doing nothing wrong. They had their toughest challenge against Wolves and still got the win. See what I mean? Like, deserved a draw. With you guys deserved a draw against Manchester United, and they found a way to win. Rashford scoring at will. De Gea playing very well, as much as I hate him. Luke Shaw as center back. Like,
De Gea was
De Gea's good. He's keeping him in it.
But
goodness. You know what? They're winning big wins, clean sheets, or not giving up many goals and scoring a lot of goals. So look out for Manchester United. Right now, I believe they're tied with Newcastle, aren't they?
They're either
tied with Newcastle or right behind Newcastle.
I haven't had a chance to look at the table since last night.
Which means they're right behind City.
Yeah. Well, they're right in there. Everyone is right in there. It's like, outside of Arsenal, that top four, or second through 5 is really tightening up, and even 6 is kind of firming things up.
But this is where, not even outside of Arsenal, you have to consider if City are in a title race, then Newcastle are, then Manchester United are. Because 5 points, or let's say 7 or however many more it is to the next tier,
I think
that's not...
I want to say it's like 6.
That's not that hard to make up.
Yeah.
Remember, City were down by like 10 points when they came back to beat Liverpool.
Last year? Last year? They were 13th.
Last year? 13?
But that was also week 5 or 6, you know.
But what I'm saying is we haven't even hit the halfway point.
Right.
We're hitting the halfway point next week. And that's not even for City and Arsenal. We wouldn't have hit our halfway point.
Right.
So, just saying, Manchester United had their struggles at the right time. If they didn't have those struggles and came out the gate playing this way, they'd be with Arsenal or above Arsenal right now. The way that they're playing is, just watch. I put money on Manchester being red next Saturday.
You know what?
And I don't know if that does us a favor because
I don't think it does.
Honestly,
I think
I'm hoping for a draw.
You're going to want to draw. That's your best case scenario for Arsenal, but I don't see this one being a draw. I don't know.
We'll get into our preview.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that next week.
But I mean, are you impressed by Manchester United? We talked a lot of shit about Eric Ten Hag.
I'm going to say the following. And that is, as I have talked about Arsenal, saying you don't know where the goals are coming from, and the goals can come from any different direction, I can say the same thing about Man United. The goals are coming from everywhere. They're coming from all sorts of shapes and sizes. They're coming from set pieces. They're coming from free kicks. Are coming from, I mean, like, should Casemiro be scoring?
No.
The way he has been?
No, he should not be scoring.
I don't think so, but he scored in the last 2? No, not the last 2, but 2 of the last 3.
2 of the last 3 or 4, yeah.
I mean,
and those are different goals
and when
as
he first came on, you're like, oh man, he's too fat and slow and all the things, but Ten Hag got him into shape. But the goals are coming from everywhere. But you know where they're not coming from? Cristiano Ronaldo. They got rid of that cancer. And they're winning. They're winning. I will say that I want to shed a small tear for Donny van de Beek. Because he has been struggling so hard to get on the pitch, and he finally gets a start, and he's out, I think, for the season. I'm not really sure the injury.
I would imagine.
Because he did walk off.
It looked like he broke his leg.
It looked pretty bad. But you know what? We've seen injuries in the Premier League that have looked just absolutely awful. Harvey Elliott for Liverpool against Leeds. That looked like that was... well, no, it wasn't as... I thought it was like a torn Achilles, but it ended up just being a small break of an ankle bone or something. I'm not really sure, but Elliott ended up coming back that season. So we know that these injuries can look really bad, worse than what they might be. But man, I kind of felt bad for the young man. Yeah. He's been trying so hard and been so patient, and he hasn't been like raising that much of a like he did at first. Or his people raised the stink, not his parents, but his people. Yeah. And he gets a start and he gets hurt, and it was sad. It was sad for me to see.
Yeah. That's
about all I'll say. That's my tear.
Yeah. Watch out for Manchester United. Even though Spurs win like 4-0 or something like that, no, that is the most boring fucking football I think I can. I can't stand watching that.
I don't think it was so much the 4 goals for Spurs as much as it was their opponent, and their opponent played pretty well. I can't even think off the top of my head who Spurs played. Did they play Bournemouth? No. They played Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace, yeah.
And Palace didn't look so hot.
Something's wrong there.
There's so many teams that you're just like, what?
Yeah. All right, well, let's call it a wrap on today's show because we've gone well over talking Arsenal for most of it. But anything else that you have to say about this where we're leaving the Premier League off this week for the little break of cup matches? We have a crazy relegation race going. Still halfway through the season, but 8 teams or something like that are involved, and then you got like a 6 to 8.
You knew something was going to shake up in the relegation battle with Forest playing Southampton, and the El Crapico as I like to call those matches. So you knew something was going to shake up.
Leeds,
you
West
know,
Ham.
Leeds, West Ham, Villa Wolves. I mean, Villa's not in that relegation battle. Villa's actually just hoovering just below the top 10, playing pretty well. But as much as I said it earlier in the program, as much as I've been given shit and been angry about the Wolves, that to me was some of the most promising football that I've seen in a while. The only thing I'm a little worried about is Daniel Podence, who was pulled off at halftime. I hope he didn't get hurt, because he's been, despite his little sad little flicks that don't go anywhere, back heel shit.
Yeah, he's been good.
He's been really, really good for Wolves. And I really liked with Kuna in there. He looked really good. Obviously, we've moved on from Raul Jimenez, which I think is maybe a half a season too late. But all the things. But yeah, man, that relegation battle I think is going to be more entertaining than the battle at the top. I mean, everybody wants to see the winner, but man, the list of teams who could be dropped.
Yeah, I think it's actually going to be entertaining on both
Everton,
ends,
Wolves, Leeds is even kind of dancing.
I think it's going to be very entertaining towards the end of the season on both ends, because we're going to see, like I said, if City are in the title race, to me, Newcastle and Manchester United are as well. And I guess you got to say Tottenham is still floating around there, but it would take a collapse from some.
Or some very excellent play on their end.
Yeah, but Newcastle's only lost one match as well as Arsenal.
What I really, really want to see is I want to see the title decided on the final week or the second to the last week. Oh yeah, they've won. They're 14, 15 points ahead with 5 weeks to go.
That's where I want to be.
I don't want to see a race like that. Come on. I want to see squeaky bum time at the top of the table.
No way. Well, that's it for us. Don't forget to join us tonight for Happy Hour, Friday night. And if you're watching this on a Saturday or a Sunday, go back and watch our Happy Hour. It's a lot of fun.
What are we talking about at Happy Hour?
I don't know. But we'll talk about it. So peace from Brooklyn, y'all.